George Allen O'Dowd, a.k.a. Boy George, burst onto the scene in 1982 as gender-bending lead singer of Culture Club. Achieving global fame and selling a staggering 30 million records, the band became poster boys of 80s Britain. Following the band's split in '86 and his highly publicised heroin addiction, George has spent the last 20 years living his life through the headlines.
I mean, anyone else would have just given up and crawled under a rock, you know. I mean, what else can you say about me? I've been accused of everything.
For the first time, Living has been given exclusive behind-the-scenes access to a new, clean and sober George.
I don't drink anymore, I don't take drugs anymore, nothing.
For 3 months, our cameras followed his every move.
Just hate the whole kind of observation thing, flying the wall. I wrote on my contracts I'm not a fly.
From a US tour that hangs in the balance...
I'd like to say, oh, stuff your country up your arse, but unfortunately that probably won't help.
...to his 47th birthday party.
Big up, big up, big up, big up!
And even a trip to Ireland for a heart-to-heart with his mum.
You're back to before you became famous.
We reveal the truth behind the rumours.
You said I was on drugs?
Rants.
Oh, no, I'm not doing like a diva, like everyone told me I was great. I'm not just saying the sandwich shit.
And revelations.
When people say, oh, when did you know you were gay? I was like, I don't know. First time I sucked a cock.
Welcome to the fabulous and bizarre world of Boy George.
Get out!
On the 8th of October 2005, George's world was delivered a devastating blow. He was arrested by the authorities in New York City after reportedly possessing 13 bags of cocaine in his Manhattan apartment. Fortunately for George, due to inexplicable discrepancies in the filed police report, he was found guilty of the lesser crime of wasting police time, for which he was given the much-publicized community service order to sweep the streets of New York.
We'll allow you to film, but you gotta stand back. You cannot get close to the operation, okay?
Obviously, when I got arrested, it was a bit of a low point, you know, and I just, I wanted to get out of New York as quickly as possible because of my, you know, experiences with the police and the courts and all the negative publicity. I just wanted to come home, you know, I wanted to come home where, you know, I felt a bit safer, and that's what I did, you know.
2 years on, and leaving a much cleaner New York, George is back on British shores in his £6 million Hampstead home in northwest London, a pad he bought in the 80s following the success of Culture Club. We join George in the final stages of unpacking his treasured items.
Coming back here was a really weird experience, but also quite overwhelming. In a way, it was sort of like being forced to kind of remember who I am and all the things that I've done, you know, and that applies to gold discs, you know, pictures, old music, you know, everything. It was just like, it was kind of like you are Boy George, there's no escape, get over it, you know? This is one of the few of my discs I've actually kept. It says, commemorated sales of 800,000 units. These are important, I think. And they're more important to me now, I think, than they ever were. They mean more to me now, you know, than they did. You know, it was quite extreme going from kind of living in squats, for example, to being like superstars. And for us, it felt like forever, you know, before we got a deal, and it felt like we took ages to get successful. But really, in the grand scheme of things, it was quite quick. We went from being like, you know, just a sort of trendy club band to being like superstars. And I think when it happens that quickly, you don't necessarily kind of like appreciate it as much. I have very different expectations from fame now. I think when I was 17, I thought being famous would be, you know, oh, it would cure all my ills. I would become a much better person. I thought, oh, you know, if I'm famous, then everyone's going to love me, you know. Nowadays, I have a more realistic, you know, expectation from what fame can give me. You know, I don't have that need to be in the paper every day. You know, I only want to be in the paper if the picture's good. I'm not interested in the picture of me with a sort of sandwich in my mouth at Heathrow Airport, you know, looking like a pig.
After a decade away from touring, George has decided to go out on the road again, and is aware that his image in the press is more important than ever. Today, good friend and makeup artist Christine Bateman is preparing George for his photo shoot for Q magazine.
Strawberry girl, Christine. I think with the press, you've got to remember, first of all, that it's kind of generally not personal. You can just tell if someone's being bitchy or not, you know what I mean? You can just tell instantly. I mean, that's the one thing I have learned. You know, I've learned to kind of be able to judge people, and if I think someone's basically just a bit nervous, then, you know, I won't be horrible to them. But if I think somebody's just trying to be snidey and vile, then they'll get everything they give me, you know, and worse, you know. Hurry up, love.
Despite being one of the most photographed men in Britain, the glitz and glamour of the flashbulbs isn't always George's cup of tea.
I don't like being photographed, no. I mean, I like photographing myself. I would say that in my career, the moments when there's been the biggest, you know, kind of problems have been at sort of things like photo shoots and video shoots. Where is it? Where's Unit D? Because you kind of have to put up with other people's vision. Okay, where is it? What's it called? Anyone got a fucking name? Hello. Are you the photographer? Nice to meet you. Took a while to find it. Hi, Greg. Nice to meet you. Well, yeah, because we couldn't find the D. Because I'm with a bunch of more.
That's the D, but we're actually shooting upstairs.
Okay, where's that? Where's that? Okay. So you know what you're doing, yeah?
I know what I'm doing. I'm going to show you these because I'm quite interested to see. It's not every day I get to photograph people that I think will have a real point of view about how they look. So
they're beautiful, but they're very natural.
Yeah. They're
brutal.
Yeah, but I think,
they're beautiful pictures.
I think if you're brutal on your makeup, it will look beautiful.
Yeah, if the lighting's right. Yeah, Tracy.
Yeah.
She was actually in the original Culture Club. She was going to play Triangle. She went on to become very successful, and I was like, "You're Tracy Emin."
If you could put it on the left.
When you're photographed, if someone takes care of what they do, it's always better. The worst thing in the world is, like, you know, paparazzis that don't even look in their camera. That really bugs me the most of anything. It's like, ah! Okay.
You living here now or in America?
No, I live just up the road.
Oh.
Yeah, no.
I thought you lived in the States.
I did, but I got arrested, so I came back.
I don't think it's terribly hard to get arrested, though.
Oh no, it's hard. It's just one of those things. It was one of my biggest terrors, you know, to ever get in trouble in America. And I tell you what, it's not something you want to do.
Hard.
They are fucking vile.
Yeah.
I mean, absolutely scary. It's frightening.
You've worked on this mouth a while.
I've been doing the same face since I was 7 years old. I saw this picture of me when I was 7, and I thought it was something I'd done when I was 20, right. And I didn't. I've always been like that my whole life. No one likes being photographed. Ever. You're sort of at your most vulnerable when you're being photographed, I think, but it's okay. I mean, it's no big deal. It's just a picture. The worst things. Root canal's worse.
Coming up, George confronts a friend who's been spreading rumours.
You said I was on drugs.
Performs to a crowd of thousands. And has some issues with the US Embassy that threaten his upcoming tour.
I'd like to say, oh, stuff your country up your arse, but unfortunately that probably won't help.
We've been following Boy George for 3 months, and with his upcoming tour only days away, George is headed over to musical partner John Themis's house to lay down some vocals.
Down by the riverside, gonna study. Oh no.
We're going to do this on the tour, and I've always wanted to do this song. I love this song. It's such a simple song, but it's just got a great message, you know, and it's really spiritual. I want perfection, character, and church.
Let me peel that out of skin off.
Right, so,
oh yeah.
Let's give it a go.
Down by the riverside, down by the riverside.
Do you think
Gorgeous.
it's a bit happy?
No. It's joy. The song's about joy.
Down by, down by the riverside.
I think the music is the essential thing. It's the glue of what I do, you know, and I think that's what I need to concentrate on, really. Because, you know, whenever I get asked to do an interview on TV, it's always an interview. It's never to sing. And, you know, I think people have forgotten that that's what I do. So I just think it's really important to remind people and to make tea. Oh, George with a cup of tea. I'm coming in.
Oh my God.
Thank you, George.
That's. Do you want a honey in it? Did you want anything like that? Sugar?
No.
With the singers enjoying a much-needed brew, George takes time out to chat to journalist Adam about more intimate issues.
Hello, gorgeous. How are you?
You're right.
Yeah, nice to see you.
Oh, this is for Observer.
Okay.
And it's this section they do called What I Know About Men.
Could fill a postage stamp. The first time a man touched me, it transformed my life. I know how she feels. I probably come across quite confident. You know, I have attracted people in my life who want to be taken care of, you know. In some people's eyes, they probably look at me and think, oh, you know, I'm quite a powerful person. Very often, it falls apart because you actually, at some point, have to reveal that you're a human being. For example, you know, if you're going out with someone that's younger and prettier, they soon realise how they can manipulate you through, you know, sexual behaviour or emotional behaviour. You know, and there's a lot of game playing in relationships, you know, particularly with men.
With George busy in the kitchen, the singers give us some gossip on what it's really like to work with the 80s icon.
Don't talk your business in front of George, because it will be your song by the next day. Isn't it? And it's very true. He's done that to me. We've been having a conversation about some ex-boyfriend of mine, and the next day it was a song. And then he had the brass neck to ring me and say, could you sing a session for me? And I was reading the lyrics, and I was like, George. And he was like, yeah, that was the conversation we had last week in full song format. And I had to sing it. Lies, 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 and more damn lies. Yeah. So yeah, he's a great songwriter.
And you used to be so sweet, I heard you say that my love.
All the songs I wrote in Culture Club were about my relationship with John. And they were more ambiguous. Things like Calm Chameleon, there were hidden messages in the titles and you know, I wasn't necessarily that direct with my songwriting, but that's because I probably hadn't learned to be direct.
Although the turbulent relationship between George and drummer John Moss provided Culture Club with some of their biggest hits, behind the smiles it was a very different story.
There used to be fights, me and John were always fighting on tour, you know. I mean, John broke his hand about 3 times trying to punch me. I mean, for years I thought, you know, dysfunctional relationships were completely normal, you know. Oh, he hits me, so he must love me, you know, he cares. That kind of nose.
22 years on, and George is still gigging, but this time it's with a new band, and the first date in the festival season takes him to Switzerland, where he'll be performing in front of a sellout crowd.
I don't notice you. Who are you? I'm in a bit of an arsey mood because they wouldn't let my friend in with me. And then I said Naomi Campbell was right. I didn't really, but I wanted to. What car are we in? Which one? Oh, the Europe car. Oh, the big white thing. I don't have the kind of relationship with my band that I did with Culture Club, you know. Come on, paraplegics.
Being so bossy. Bossy boots. Bossing everyone around, here, there, everywhere. What? Calm down.
John Themis is my main sort of writing partner. Clever. I love him dearly. I mean, he's like family to me, so it's getting all emotional. Don't fancy him now.
The band arrive at the Caribana Festival, just moments before they are due on stage. Although George is a seasoned professional, the pressures of performing live in front of thousands still takes its toll.
All you're thinking about is whether you're going to be any good. Will you hit the notes, engage with the audience, connecting with people? I think that is more important than anything else. Ideally, you want to go on stage in a great mood, you know, and I try to do that as often as possible these days, but I've had my grumpy moments. How you doing? In my shows, I've always done old songs. I've always done the staples, you know, Do You Really, Calm Chameleon. It's like when I go and see David Bowie, because I'm a huge Bowie fan, and, you know, there are certain songs that I just will get up and forget that I'm Boy George and just sing along and be a fan, you know. And that's what music does. That's what it should do. It should make you forget about what you know, what's going on in your life, really, and just enjoy it for the moment. It was good. No, I really enjoyed it. I mean, you know, I'm not complaining. That's a plus. Hello.
Yes, hello.
Where are you from?
From...
don't know.
Oh, I'm so nervous.
That's okay.
I love you.
You know, I say thank God for strangers because, you know, you can be doing a gig and there can be some, like, you know, kind of really tough housewife. And she'll be like, Georgie, I love you, Georgie. And it means a lot.
Okay, dog.
All right, come on then. Bye-bye.
Okay.
I've kind of been off the map for quite a long time, so I'm not expecting the kind of attention I got in the 80s because it's been a long time. And there's a lot of other stuff out there, and recently, in the last year or so, there's been a lot more kind of organic music being made. That definitely appealed to me. It just made me sort of feel like it was the right time to kind of start exploring not only music but also live work, because Culture Club were quite lazy in terms of live work. We used to sort of do tours, but we never did any of those really bombastic ones. We never went on the road for a year or anything like that. We always did like 3 weeks, and it was all very polite. I mean, I haven't really made money from music for a long, long time. It's like an expensive hobby, but it's what I love to do. I mean, that's why I became a musician, because I wanted not to work. You know, I mean, you do work, but you're not working like, say, a miner would work or how my mother and father worked.
As the band arrive at the Bobital Festival in France, the party appears to be in full swing. With minutes to go before the band hit the main stage, there's time for a quick impromptu jam.
1, 2, 3, 4, whatever.
Where are we going? I'm lucky because the guys in my band are all quite close to me, and you know they're happy to say, look, yeah, you could have maybe hit the note better on that one, or you know, or we'll talk about what we've done. But there are times when I'm obviously having a different gig to them, you know.
Come a chameleon. You come and go. You come and go.
That was hard work.
Yeah, it was, but it was such some great moments. I thought.
There were a lot of people that loved it, and a lot of people that were like, comme ci, comme ça. Like this, like that.
Comme ci, comme ça, tu veux, tu veux pas.
You seem very calm, quiet, optimistic.
Yeah, I am.
So what's happening?
Well, I don't drink anymore. I don't take drugs anymore. Nothing.
You can drink.
No, I don't drink. I don't do anything.
No, really?
No. You get a lot of the same questions, you know, a lot of the same questions. It's like, you know, tell me about the 80s.
The 80s.
It's like, well, what do you want to know? Be specific. Well, I mean, the thing is, you know, the 80s, the interesting thing about the 80s is that when it was happening, nobody liked it. Yeah. Everybody said it was shit, you know, we were vacuous, you know, fat as children. Nobody liked the 80s, and now everybody loves the 80s. It's a strange thing. I suppose in a way I've re-embraced that stuff, because it was a period when I was really trying to kind of, you know, distance myself from all of that. And now I just think, well, whatever. Well, I'm Boy George, and you're tuned to Frequencies.
We need to speak French.
I think this is going to be impossible. Avez-vous un grand beat comme un homme? I only know stupid things in French.
With post-gig interviews out of the way, it's time to head back to the hotel, and George is in a flirtatious mood.
I need a window so I can abuse people. Sean!
Yes?
Woo! Orifice! That might be my future husband.
What are you doing now, man?
Trying to slip in.
For God's sake.
Wait! Can you stop it? I'm not comfortable in my chair.
Oh my God! Oh my God! Jimmy! Oh, Jesus Christ! Stop it.
When people say, "Oh, when did you know you were gay?" It's like, I don't know. First time I sucked a cock. I can't say that, can I? Julian Clary says, I woke up one morning and I thought, I like a nice big cock up my ass. No, I mean, I don't want to be crude, but, you know, in terms of my sexuality, I was told what I was before I even knew what I was. I was told at 6 years old that I was a puff, you know, and how do they know? This is the question. How do they know so much?
Your boyfriend?
Yes.
Nice to meet you.
Hello.
Right.
Kevin's got it.
You know, I don't understand, you know, for example, in terms of sexuality, why people get so wound up about it.
Quite utterly pulled.
People are terrified of something that they can't relate to. You know, I say I'm not one of them. You know, I don't have any problem understanding why men and women fall in love with each other, or why men fall in love with each other.
Back in the UK, George's attention turns to the much-anticipated American tour. It's 6 a.m. and he's up early to go to the US Embassy to apply for his visa. Having been arrested on home turf just a year before, and with a trial pending, his chances of playing in America are in jeopardy.
I thought I'd take off my nail varnish before I go to the American Embassy, because I don't want anything to, you know, jeopardise my chances of getting a visa. Disqualified for drag. I'm pretty nervous about going to the embassy because the tour's already on sale, and it's a bit frustrating because it not only affects me, but it affects, like, all the musicians and everyone that's doing the tour, so it's a bit of a frightening prospect. I was prevented from going to America for 8 years in the sort of late 80s. I had about a 9-year waiver, but unfortunately, because I got arrested in New York, it's been, you know, disqualified, so who knows? I'd like to say, oh, stuff your country up your arse, but unfortunately that probably won't help, so I have to be grown up, George, and dignified.
Armed with all the relevant paperwork for his application, George sets off for the American Embassy, hopeful that despite his recent arrest in New York, he'll manage to convince the authorities that he's a reformed character, enabling the US tour to go ahead as planned.
My official documentation. 12th of the 8th, 1977, Balham Juvenile Court, going equipped for theft, fined £100. And that's still on my record after all these years. I've got a letter of recommendation from the sanitation people, because when I went to New York and did my community service, I did a good job. When you go through customs, you always think you've done something wrong, even if you haven't, you know what I mean? It's like that when you go to the embassy. It's like, you know, you feel guilty, and the problem is I am.
Arriving at the embassy, George is in high spirits, but with 25 US venues booked and tickets already on sale, the outcome of this meeting is crucial, not just for him, but also his fans. Coming up, George draws parallels between his past self and troubled star Amy Winehouse.
If you look at Amy Winehouse, you know, she doesn't think that she's a disaster, you know. She thinks it's all fine. She thinks it's perfectly normal, you know, and it's not.
We get a true insight from the woman who knows him best, his mum.
And I said, look, do yourself a favour. Get your broom, sweep the streets and start singing. And don't mind anybody. I said, just get on with your job. And he went, yeah, I'll do that then. And of course everybody then won't to.
And he finally gets word on his US visa.
Morning. Hello, Tony. I'm good, Jim. I'm just on my FaceTime. What's going on?
Boy George has given us access to his life, and he's just returned back from his interview at the US Embassy. Things haven't gone quite as well as expected.
I've got 3-week tour books. I've got musicians that booked time out. You know, the dates are on sale, and it's now looking like I may not get my visa, which, you know, it's not a great situation. Because I've kind of cleaned up my life and I'm not drinking or doing drugs, and I'm, you know, pretty clear-headed and positive and, you know, really happy at the moment as well. And it's like, this is just another reminder, you know what I mean? So it doesn't really help you. I mean, it's not that it's going to send me off the rails or anything, you know, it makes me more determined, but, you know, unfortunately, this is kind of like a, you know, it's the shape of things to come. It's just always going to be there. I'm no menace to society, you know. It's like I'm going to go to America and do something awful. I'm just going to go and sing, you know. Taxi!
3 days have passed, and still no word on the US visa. And with a full day of media appearances ahead of him to promote the tour, George finally gets the call he's been waiting for.
Let's get that, hold on. Morning. Hello, Tony. I'm good, Jim. I'm just on my FaceTime. What's going on? I wasn't under the impression that I'll never get into America again. I just want to know about now. Do they think there's any possibility now? Okay. All right, love. Bye. He's saying we can cancel for next year, which, you know, isn't that helpful, really. It's like, well, we know that. I mean, I think he thought that I thought I was never going to get into America again. I can't see any logic in that, but, you know, cancelling the tour till next year doesn't help me now, does it? So,
No.
You know, thanks for that.
With news hitting the press that he's been refused his US visa, George has agreed to go live on CNN to set the record straight and talk directly to his fans.
Off to CNN. He needs to do that, you see. That goes out.
Oh, right, yeah.
So you need to
Tell you what I'll do.
fix it now.
Arriving just moments before going live, the pressure is on to achieve that perfect look.
Hello. If I say this, it sounds really false, but if I say, because when I say, oh, I've never really thought of myself as being particularly attractive, you know, and people go, oh, but you are. I'm just like, well, no, I polish up well. And, you know, I have an idea of what makes me look good. Okay, there's no drama. And it's completely individual and got nothing to do with anybody else's logic. You know, to other people, it probably doesn't make sense. Why do you want to look like that? But I like it.
With the image complete, George is ready to face his audience.
I'm coming to spread love and joy, to do my music, and I think I should be allowed to do that, you know, because I have straightened up my life, and, you know, how can you move on if you're constantly being reminded of what you did in the past, you know? I will be coming back to America, I just have to wait. I have some legal problems at the moment to deal with. Once they're done, I'm back and you won't be able to get rid of me.
It's 10 p.m. at George's house in Hampstead, and George is dressing for the last ever night at Nag Nag Nag, a club night known for its raucous, outrageous and alternative crowd. Tonight he's decided to make a special effort and pay homage to an old dear friend.
The twin look is based on club freak exhibitionist Lee Bowery. I was quite an admirer of him. The look is kind of part me and part Lee.
Lee Bowery was an Australian performance artist who sadly died in 1993. He was a huge influence on George, who played the character of Bowery in his award-winning musical Taboo, renowned for its androgynous costumes and creative makeup.
Being Lee Bowery has an effect on you, you know, it's like, you can't wear those costumes and not be affected, you know. You also start questioning your own creativity because you think, my God, you know, mine pales in comparison to this man, you know. You've got your kind of, you know, your breasts, you know, stuck into a corset and you've got a 2-to-1 latex dripping down your head. It's quite, you know, it has quite an effect on you, and it sparked my desire to dress up again. Like, I remember once seeing him with a sort of plastic toilet on his head, dressed as Hitler down the toilet, and you thought, okay, that's it. You know, there's nowhere else to go. And then the next time you see him, it'll be something else. It was so inspiring. Shitler, it was called. Kids love this look. Old people kind of like cross the road, but children would come up and go, hello. Some cried, you know, but generally they were quite friendly. Oh, I can really feel that dripping. Good evening.
To give the club night a good send-off, George will duet with promoter and friend Johnny Slut to give their rendition of the 70s track Teenage Rampage by The Sweet.
I'm worried about the second verse in Teenage Rampage because it's one of those songs that I've known since I was a kid, and, you know, because you've heard it all the time, you think you know it, and then suddenly you're faced with performing it, and it's a whole different thing. It's funny, up until recently, I never forgot a lyric. I did some gigs earlier in the year, and I kept forgetting things. I had to ask the audience. I had to say to one of the fans, what's the next line in this song? And it was really funny. And they even got it wrong. Then I went on the net and just, you know, found out for myself. But I guess it's a sign of getting old. Yeah. All right, good luck.
Over the past 10 years, George has established himself as an internationally renowned DJ, playing to sold-out venues all around the world.
They know me, and I'm so famous.
The club has a reputation for attracting some original and extravagant personalities to its subterranean lair, and tonight the regulars, fashionistas and exhibitionists are all out in force. George has regularly played to these hardcore clubbers since it opened 6 years ago, so it's only fitting that he's here to perform at the closing party.
we don't fancy each other, so we decided to sing. But we both like the sweet, because we're old.
Imagine the sensation of teenage occupation. At 13 now we learn it, and at 14 now we burn it. There's something in the air which we all will be aware. But they don't care. No, 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 no. So, come join the revolution. Get yourself a constitution. Come join the revolution now. And recognize your age. It's a teenage rampage now. Oh!
Thank you! That was noisy. Oh. Get out of the fucking way, crap. Oh, that was very noisy. Was it? It sounds appalling. I mean, that's why I said get a PA, which they didn't do. Which is why I said get a PA, because it was really appalling. But anyway, whatever, that's life. Oh no, I'm not doing like a diva like everyone told me I was great. I'm not just saying the sound was shit. I'm too old for all this. Showbiz bananarchy. I love things that brighten up the horizon. You know, if it's like some mad goth girl with blue dreadlocks and great big, you know, Monster Mash shoes. To me, those people, God bless them, I love them. They make me smile, you know, especially when they get it right. It's just a joy to see.
Having always been a lover of fashion, George and friend Mike Nichols created their own designer label, Be Rude, 4 years ago.
I think the clothes that we make do have a message, you know. They're kind of provocative and they're fun, they have humour. A lot of the stuff that we do at Be Rude is kind of influenced by all that youth culture stuff, you know. I mean, I grew up in the 70s when, you know, you just had so many great youth culture movements, which we don't really get anymore, and I think it's a bit of a shame. So, in a way, I'm trying to encourage a bit more of that. I think sort of creating things is what turns me on, you know. I'm not necessarily concerned too much about where they end up or what the profit margin is, you know. I'm learning to be a bit more like that. That's my new mode.
As well as the fashion label, George and business partner Mike run the label store in London's trendy East End.
Clothes are fun, you know, and they can say so much about you, you know. When I was a kid, and I think it's true for Mike as well, and a lot of people that we know, we didn't sort of enjoy the things that other kids enjoyed. I wasn't interested in football. I was drawn to the exotic, anything unusual, and it made me an outsider. And I got picked on a lot when I was at school. I guess at that point, I just thought, I'm going to be myself. I'm not going to worry about what people call me. I'm not going to worry about what people think. And I guess that's when I started wearing the uniform of the outsider.
Entrepreneur George is also a partner in a health food store. Today it's the location for an interview with Q magazine, but it's not long before the conversation turns to his past drug addiction.
You know, the thing is, I went from being so naive and uneducated about chemicals to being like, you know, super junkie.
There's a story about, actually just springs to mind, of you doing a Royal Command performance in front of the King and Queen of Sweden.
Oh God, yeah, I'd gone to Sweden clean and I was undoing my luggage and I found drugs and I was so happy.
That would have been a disaster.
If you look at Amy Winehouse, you know, she doesn't think that she's a disaster, you know. She thinks it's all fine. She thinks it's perfectly normal, you know, and it's not, you know. But it is. I mean, that's the thing, is that kind of becomes your reality. You know, I remember sort of at the height of doing all the heroin was that, you know, I used to just get changed about 55,000 times a day. I would just be changing outfit. You never get out of the house. You know, like, someone would invite you somewhere, there'd be a function or a party, and you'd think, OK, tomorrow I'm going to A, B or C. And you'd never leave the house, because you'd be like, oh, no, just keep changing, you know, washing, scrubbing, between your teeth. That's what it's like.
Yeah.
It's a bit like the first time you fall in love, you know, you think, oh my God, you know, it's going to be like this forever, and it isn't, you know. There's nothing cool about working with half your vocabulary, half your brain, you know, half your personality, because that's really what you're doing, you know.
True to form, George is making music about his life experiences, and he's off to the studio to record a track based on his experiences of giving up drugs.
Nice casual day look.
But first, there's a personal matter to attend to, as one of George's best friends has been spreading rumours.
Oh, here, she's called him. Philistine. You said I was on drugs. You said something like, I'm sure George is still on something. Well, I'm not. I wish you'd stop saying things like that, because I'm absolutely not. I'm absolutely not. And it's really disheartening, Philip. You did. It slipped out of your vile tongue. Well, the thing is, Philip, look, that's not true. And the thing is, you know what? I can actually use your support right now, not your negativity. All right, dear. All right, bye. Maybe it slipped out. Just what you need, really, you know what I mean? Let's bury the hatchet. I can't, it's in your back. Cheers, thanks a lot. Get me tip, if I'll be generous.
Arriving at John's, George wastes no time and gets straight to work.
Celebration, I'm coming home. With a lot of work to do. Celebration, I got it.
I try to strive to kind of be as guttural as possible and to kind of really express what it is I'm feeling. A lot of my songwriting has got a very positive edge to it. It's different, you know, it's maybe a bit more responsible, a bit more grown up. It's a new thing for me to kind of, you know, write something, sing a happy song, you know. Not really getting noticed down here, are you?
With the cancellation of his US tour, George has a rare couple of days off, so he heads over to Ireland to catch up with family.
Phyllis, Mum, it's George. I've been calling and there's no response, so either you're having a quiet night or you're hanging out with Bono, whatever. We're going to go out to some gay clubs and be puffs. Leave me a message. Why don't you come to the hotel in the morning and we'll have breakfast? All right, Mother, later.
George heads downtown to gay pub, Panty Bar.
Welcome to gay Dublin.
Once inside, he meets owner Rory O'Neill, otherwise known as drag queen Panty. And with George a lover of all things drag, the pair immediately hit it off.
So what's the gay scene like here in Ireland?
You know, when I was, say, 18 or whatever, I lashed out of here as quickly as I could, and so did everybody. But now all the 18-year-old gays stay here, because there is something for them to stay for.
And the families are, you know, they're more open-minded now or not?
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
I love a drag queen. I just do. And they're salt of the earth, you know. They're our suffragettes, don't you think?
Yeah.
They're the gay suffragettes.
Coming up in part 4, George's mum shows her protective side.
You're like a cat with its kitten. You know, you want to scratch their eyes out. Don't say anything about my son.
We join George on his 47th birthday with family and friends.
Big up, big up, big up, big up, big up.
And he lets off steam about being filmed 24/7.
I would never do it again, ever. I just hate the whole kind of observation thing, flying the wall. I wrote on my contracts I'm not a fly.
Boy George has given us access to his life for 3 months, and it's 9 a.m. in rainy Dublin. George meets up with his mum and auntie for a quick cup of tea.
I think sometimes people think when you're famous, like your family's sort of like a sideshow. You know, maybe they are for some people, you know, but what I do know is that when there's a crisis, we all come together. You know, when the shit hits the fan, we're all there to support each other.
It's like when he went to New York and he phoned up and I said, how are you feeling, son? He said, oh, it was awful, man.
Oh, you mean my community service?
Yeah, well, hundreds of photographers here and I went, bastards.
No, actually, the first thing I said, remember, I rang you and what did I say? I'm above it.
Well, yes, I know, yeah, but you were bothered.
Yeah,
it was upsetting for you, had to be. And I said, look, do yourself a favour. Get your broom, sweep the streets and start singing. And don't mind anybody. I said, just get on with your job. Anyway, yeah, I'll do that then. And of course, everybody then warmed to him.
You know, my mum just wants me to be happy. She just wants me to be well. You know, like any mother, she just wants to know that I'm safe.
I think after a while you just sort of think, that's George's life, this is my life. But
And
I
it's
mean,
not like that now.
you're still watching anybody says anything about him, you're like a cat with his kitten. You know, you want to scratch their eyes out. Don't say anything about my son.
I used to think, you know, it's a crime against me, it's a victimless crime in a sense, you know, getting wasted. But you never, there's, you know, you think, oh, I'm not hurting anyone, you're always hurting someone.
You're back to before you became famous. You're more grounded. You seem to be grounded now, which is a good thing. And it's just the fact of having a conversation and know that, you know, whatever you're talking about is believable.
And yeah, that you thought about it before you say it. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, for a long time with me, I thought nobody knew that I had a problem. I thought, oh yeah, they don't know. And then of course when you get it together and you see people that you love or people that you ain't seen for a while, they say, hello, welcome back to the planet, you know.
It's George's 47th birthday, but rather than the hell-raising birthday parties of the past, he's decided to treat friends and family to a slightly less rock and roll night out. Bowling.
You're definitely on my team, Johnny. Don't worry. Thank you, sweetheart. I'm not someone that looks in the mirror and says, oh, I'm getting old. Oh. I mean, you're getting old all the time. It's not something you have any control over.
Oh, rubbish!
I don't think I go around looking for kind of extreme highs and lows anymore. You know, I just enjoy life. What's that? Is it a fishing rod?
There's nothing in it.
When you sort of sort your life out, people that are bad for you just go away.
Big up, big up, big up, big up, big up, big up.
It's like rats on a ship, you know? Friendship is about knowing that, you know, if something really important happens or goes wrong, you can rely on that person. I like having my family in my life. All the things that used to annoy me about my family, now I treasure. You know, I think, well, actually, that's what makes my family great, you know.
Before all the guests go, there's time for a quick sing-along on the stairs.
The rivers of Babylon, where we let down.
I don't have any great master plan. I'm not trying to recreate my past. You remember what they say, he who dies with the most toys still dies, you know. The one thing that we all have in common is that we're all going to rot and be buried with the worms. No matter how straight we are, how rich we are, it doesn't make any difference. You're going to the same place as me.
It's the final day of filming, and George reflects on what it's like to be subjected to the harsh gaze of the camera lens 24/7. And true to form, there's a couple of things he wants to get off his chest. And in typical Boy George style, he doesn't hold back.
I would never do it again, ever. I just hate the whole kind of observation thing, fly and roll. I wrote on my contract I'm not a fly. It's an attempt to domesticise everybody, everyone that's famous, to make them look really ordinary, you know. Oh, Boy George makes a cup of tea, or Boy George walks, or Boy George opens the door. It's nothing personal, you know, I just think it's car crash TV. You know, what they want to do is sort of see you break your leg or vomit or something, and it's like, so how can it be natural? There's nothing natural about flying the wall as far as I'm concerned. And, you know, it's like Ziggy Stardust in Sainsbury's. You know, what a boring, depressing idea, you know. I just think it's made me realise that, you know, you need to have fantasy, you need to have mystery. But having said all that, I'll probably do it again, you know, because that's the sort of, you know, hypocrite that I am.